Hello, and welcome back to day three of the introduction to Heartfulness. So, in the last couple of days, we talked about some basic concepts related to how we go through life, how we train the mind, and how meditation is nothing but a technique to train the mind. We experience relaxation, we experience meditation as a technique. And we also talk about the effect of emotions in our lives and how we seem to gather these emotional impressions because of thoughts and actions, which are laced with these emotions as we go during the day. Now, today's day three, and what we intend to do in today's session is to recap and also try to provide a little more detail so that we can bring it down to a practice which you can try for yourself in the coming days and weeks. So really, let's step back and ask this question. Okay, there are these techniques, but what really is what's the objective of heartfulness? What is it expected to help us achieve? So really speaking, heartfulness is a journey in inner transformation. How can we take ourselves and how can we work on ourselves and perhaps with an objective to create a better me tomorrow? Can I bring about inner change in terms of my inner qualities? Train my mind so that I'm in a state of effortless focus. I don't get too much emotionally involved in what I'm doing, and also really to bring about inner change so that I can just become a better person, a better human being. And that really, and to see in terms of where that journey can take us is really what heartfulness is about. So let's step into and recap. You might want to ask your audience at this time in terms of last 2 days, what were their biggest takeaways? Again, start with 2-3 minutes of interaction. It helps loosen them up, draw them into a conversation and gets them more engaged in the session itself. Now, in the last couple of days, the techniques that we've learned are relaxation, meditation, and cleaning. Let's now put it into some kind of structure and relationship. The purpose of relaxation is very simple. It's supposed to be a simple technique which we can use at any time based on need to relax ourselves, center ourselves, bring ourselves to a state of balance, essentially relax the body and mind. Now, relaxation is a technique which is really preliminary, which is to be used in the initial stages of our practice. It is not something that we will continue to use lifelong. So maybe a week, 2 weeks, and really there should be no need for the relaxation technique unless there are times when we're experiencing a lot of stress, or let's say we're having difficulty falling asleep, and then we may want to use the relaxation technique. But otherwise, it really is more like kindergarten technique. So the primary techniques are meditation and cleaning, and we've already spoken about this, that meditation, the objective is really, it's nothing but a technique to train the mind. And it should lead us to a state of effortless focus. And cleaning, since we do take emotional baggage, it's a technique to erase the emotional baggage so that we can feel inner lightness, a sense of peace, and perhaps some joy within. And that's the two techniques which we will carry on through the journey, okay, practicing meditation in the morning and cleaning in the evening. So the next question that comes up is, hey, when should I practice these techniques? So relaxation, we already mentioned, only as needed, right? Beyond the 3 days, only as needed, not otherwise, right? And perhaps before sleep, if you're having trouble falling asleep, not otherwise. But meditation, the recommendation is that it is best done early in the morning. And the ideal time for it is before dawn. It may be 5 o'clock or 5:30, depending on where you are. And what it really does that is that at the beginning of the day, when we start with meditation, let's say I get up in the morning, finish my morning activities, freshen myself up, sit in meditation, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. If you can take it to 30 minutes, great. Perhaps if time allows and you become better at it, you can increase it to 60 minutes, not more. But it allows us to start every day with freshness. And you carry that freshness as you go into your work day as well. Now, we've gone through the day, we've gone through a lot of activities, gone through ups and downs. When you come back in the evening, when you finish your day's work and you come back, maybe 10 minutes, you meet your family, say hello, freshen up, and sit down for a few minutes to do your cleaning. So the end of the day's work, it's like you've done your work, you wipe your emotional state clean, and we unburden our emotional baggage. So that's typically the timing and for meditation and cleaning. In terms of duration, like I mentioned, when you start with what you can. Don't push yourself. Start with 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you're able to, but try to slowly stretch it with time to increase it to possibly 30 minutes, because 30 minutes is a good duration. Because you see, it's like a plane taking off and landing, right? It takes 10, 15 minutes for the plane to warm up and actually take off. And it takes time to land and, go around the airport, come and park. So it's like that, right? I mean, even to start and stop, this whole process of meditation, it takes time before you can tune yourself in and get into the zone. If we continue to do it for 5 minutes and 10 minutes, right? Even before you hit the zone, you're starting to come out, right? And really, even an extended period of time, it does not have the necessary effect. So like we say, 30 minutes is a good threshold if you can work yourself up to. But again, you don't need to start with it on day one in case it doesn't come naturally to you. Take a week, take 2 weeks, but see if you can extend it. Now, what really makes this effective? Many of you on day one or day two mentioned that, you felt peace, you felt calm. Some of you felt you slept off, you felt relaxed, you felt light. What really makes heartfulness techniques effective? Let's take it one by one. In meditation, it's really a passive technique. How we meditate is to just focus on a source of light in our heart and just observe what is happening in our hearts for a period of time. But really, what makes heartfulness effective is, we did mention on day one that there is a certain flow of energy. It's a very subtle energy which is available in nature, and a heartfulness trainer is able to, in some sense, tap into that energy and offer it to the person who's practicing meditation. So you can talk about this in some sense like it has a flow of energy. And when people sit in heartfulness meditation, when they receive this flow energy, which we call transmission, that is really what makes it tick. It's really the flow of transmission that allows us to sink, go deeper to deeper states of consciousness, experience deeper states of consciousness, which otherwise is kind of elusive. And that is what makes meditation and heartfulness very effective. It is this element called transmission. Now, when it comes to the evening practice cleaning, it is a very different technique. And while meditation is a passive technique, cleaning is a very active and dynamic technique. Here, we are doing the work. We are using our own willpower to really push out the impressions, the complexities and impurities that we've gathered during the day through our back in the form of smoke. So that here we are working and we are actually developing our willpower. So the more and more we do cleaning, in some sense, our willpower gets stronger. What is willpower? Willpower is like, we have a number of thoughts, but very little gets done. Why? Because there's a gap between what we think and what we do. Willpower is a bridge between thought and action, right? Willpower is that little switch in some sense, right, which translates a thought into action. Let me give you an example. We are sleeping. And let's say we become awake in bed in the morning. And I have this thought when I'm awake saying that, hey, I need to get out of bed. Now that's a thought. Now, by the time you get out of bed, it might take you 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour. Right? Because the thought is there, but the motive force to push yourself and translate that to action and do the action of getting up from bed. Okay, the willpower, if it's weak, it takes longer. If it's very strong, the moment you're awake and you have this idea that you should get up, you're already sitting in bed. So that really is what willpower is. And willpower really makes us very, very, very effective. Right? So it's again one of these powerful tools which we can use in the course of our daily life. And it helps us get a grip on ourselves and get moving. So those are the two elements, okay, the transmission, which is external to myself, and the willpower, which I'm developing in myself, which makes meditation and cleaning effective. Now, a point to note is that meditation and cleaning, they complement each other. You will find with practice in your own experience that the day you practice meditation in the morning, it is much easier. I mean, first of all, you go through your day and your day is much more effective. And in the evening, you'll find that your own ability to do cleaning is much better. Cleaning becomes more effective. And you find that the day you do cleaning, not only will you be able to sleep better, but the next day morning meditation becomes that much more easier. It almost becomes automatic. So in some sense, it's a cyclical process, right? Where it's like a positive feedback loop, where meditation, if we do, it helps us do cleaning effectively. And cleaning, if we do, it helps us meditate better and deeper the next morning. So that's why it's not like doing one and not doing the other. It is incomplete. So really speaking, we should practice both these techniques every single day for this to be really effective. Now, how does it work? We talked about heartfulness being a journey towards inner transformation and inner change. Now, how really does the heartfulness techniques bring about inner change? Let's look at that for a minute. I mean, the picture on the left is quite obvious, right? This is an iceberg. And as you all know, less than 5-6% of the iceberg is above water. But the bulk of it is within the water. It's hidden, right? And that's why the Titanic, being perhaps the largest ship ever built, it still hit an iceberg and it sank, not because of the iceberg which they could see, but because of the enormous iceberg which was below water, right? And that is what sank the Titanic. So when we practice heartfulness regularly, it basically, we are engaging in a practice and we're willing ourselves, we're committing ourselves to a discipline of practicing meditation, sitting down for meditation in the morning and sitting down for cleaning in the evening and taking the necessary time to do it properly. But when we engage in these techniques and when we sit down with discipline, what happens is that the meditation and cleaning itself, it works with our mind, it works with deeper layers of consciousness within ourselves, right? And that it really works, brings about changes at the subconscious level. In some sense, meditation, right? It really, like we said, it builds effortless focus, but it really provides the motive force for change. And whatever is holding us back from those changes, right? I mean, our prejudices, our tendencies, right? Our habits from the past, emotional baggage from the past, right? I mean, that is what is being cleaned off. And so cleaning reduces the impediments for inner change, right? So this process, while our intent, our actions are at the conscious level, really speaking, meditation and cleaning works at the subconscious level to bring about inner change. There is a significant ecosystem, of course, for the next several weeks. We will be coming to your organization or institution, and we will be, one of our trainers will be helping you with meditation, right? And for you to get familiar. But there is also, Heartfulness Institute is a global organization. So it's being practiced in about 150 countries today. We're a non-profit organization. We offer it to one and all in the world without charge. And how is it sustained? I'm a heartfulness trainer, but there are 11,000 more heartfulness trainers across the world who have benefited enormously from the practice, and they take time to offer this to others who would like to participate. But let's say, it's the middle of the night, you're not able to sleep, you're deeply troubled, it's 2:00 in the morning. You can't go knocking on somebody's door and saying, hey, can I have a meditation session? So what we've created is something called HeartZap. It's an app on your mobile phone, Android and iOS. And it's like the Uber of meditation, right? At some place in the world, perhaps in the US or Africa or Europe, there is a trainer who might be available and it's their waking time. And they may be able to offer you meditation. Now, as you know, when we meditate, we might be physically together, but it's not necessary. Right, so somebody in Timbuktu or London or US or Japan, can still offer you meditation. And what HeartZap does is to really bring together people who want to sit in meditation and trainers who have time to be able to offer meditation and this transmission and cleaning, right? And that's what makes it effective. So we also get together typically on Sundays and Wednesdays, right? People who practice this heartfulness meditation get together. It could be public places, it could be meditation centers, it could be somebody's house. Okay, and these are called hotspots. You can go to heartfulness.org and search for hotspots. And find perhaps a hotspot that's maybe next door to you, right? I mean, where you can join the group practicing meditation. You can take your family along. So there are about 250 plus meditation centers and retreat centers around the world. We do publish Heartfulness magazine. It's really a holistic wellness and beyond, right? I mean, it's really touches on several aspects of wellness and inner transformation. Okay, and that's a monthly. It's available as an e-version, which you can subscribe to or get a physical copy. And the world headquarters of Heartfulness is in Hyderabad. Okay, and you're welcome to visit it sometime. So that's the support ecosystem. Now I can hear most of you thinking about this, right? Are you talking about 20, 30 minutes in the morning and 20, 30 minutes in the evening? Hey boss, where do I have time? It's a huge time that we're asking for. So let me tackle that question before you actually ask it, right? So I'll give you an analogy. Let's say you're working with a friend of yours and you're sawing a big, right? And it's huge log of wood, right? And you've been sawing for 10 minutes and you find that it's really not cutting, and you feel that you talk to your friend and say, hey, it looks like the saw is blunt. The question I would ask to you is that, will you take the time to sharpen the saw? It'll take 5-10 minutes. Or will you continue sawing because you just have a big piece of wood to saw, right? It's a rhetorical question, right? The answer is obvious, right? So we also work with the inner tools that we have, our mind, our heart, willpower, and so on, right? And that is what we use, of course, our body as well. And we use all these tools to really act on the world and really get work done and act on ourselves as well, right? So what we say here in our point of view and submission is that take a little time during the day to sharpen your inner saw, your clarity of mind, clean yourself so that you can be in a state of simplicity and purity and so on, right? And that will ensure that you're able to go through your work much faster with greater productivity, greater efficiency, and greater effectiveness. I just want to talk about one example. We were running a retreat program, and somebody who'd just been practicing heartfulness for the previous 2, 4, 5 months, right? He was there. And when we asked them, okay, what's been the experience of heartfulness? And this person said that, hey, I've just been practicing 4 or 5 months. I do it regularly. And I find that a day's work, which is 8 hours work, I'm now able to finish in 4 to 5 hours, right? So that is the promise that in terms of what's possible. Yes, to practice heartfulness, there is an investment that you need to make in terms of time and a commitment. But remember, this investment of time and commitment is not to anybody else. It is to yourself for your own better future and your own inner change and transformation to become a better you. And that's what it's about, right? But in effect, if you're able to do it continuously, if you're able to sustain the practice, have the discipline to sustain it, we hope that you will also experience, just like we've experienced, that it essentially, heartfulness gives back time rather than take time in terms of a net effect. So with that, you get to the experience. Let's practice relaxation and meditation, which will be the third sitting. And after which we conclude, we ask them how they felt, welcome them to the practice of heartfulness, ask them to continue these practices of meditation in the morning and cleaning in the evening, even if it's just for a few minutes. And with the practice of time, let them take the time to slowly increase the quantum of time till perhaps they hit a 30-minute threshold. We welcome you to your journey. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for coming here for 3 days. And we hope to see you next week in the weekly follow-up sessions. Thank you.